Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to talk about some advanced shed hunting techniques that'll improve your success in finding deer antler sheds this season. And hopefully it'll help you find that big bruiser that made it through last year that you can get onto him next year and maybe hang him on your wall. Stick around for the tips. Tip number one, use trail cameras. Trail cameras are not only a great scouting tool pre-season, but they're a great tool at the end of the season to see when deer are actually dropping their antlers. So if you start picking up bucks on your trail cameras and you start seeing that the majority of those bucks have lost an antler or lost both antlers, then you know it's time to get into the woods and start looking for those antler sheds. I talked about this in the beginning video, Shed Hunters beginning video, that if you get out too early or too late, you'll miss your opportunity. So too early you push deer out, and too late other people have found the sheds, or squirrels and other critters in the woods have already got to them and pretty much chewed them up. So timing is an important thing, and trail cameras are a great tool that you can use to figure out when those bucks are starting to drop their antlers. Trail cameras are also going to give you the advantage of figuring out which deer are still in the area. So if you had a nice buck that was on the camera back during the season, you can see if that buck is still in the area, if he survived maybe, and put him on your hit list for this upcoming season. Tip number two, find areas that are tough to access. Look at the areas that you're shed hunting in, and if it's a public land, what's the public access? Where are the parking areas at? Most people aren't going to walk more than a couple hundred yards, and if they do, they're going to walk on the roads. So if you can find areas to access, especially on public land, that are difficult to get to, you're more likely to find sheds and be more successful in finding them. You've also got to be willing to cover some ground. So when you find those access areas that are tough to get into, you've got to be able to put some boots on the ground and do a little bit of walking. And when you're moving through, you need to move slowly and be methodical as you're walking through your area. If your sheds are difficult, some people have a great eye for them, some don't. They're difficult to pick up sometimes because they blend in really well with the brush. So slow your pace down and really look at the ground around you, and look at the ground that you've already covered. Look back on it, and you'll oftentimes see sheds that you overlooked walking through the first time. Tip number three, take your dog to the woods with you. Almost any dog can be trained as a shed dog, and I'll have a link down here. There's a booklet you can buy. A lot of places carry them. You can get them online. You can get them at Cabela's, and I'll have it in the description down below. But you can buy scents, you can buy dummy antlers that you can train your dog to find sheds. It's great exercise and a great activity for your dog and for you to spend time in the woods after the season is over. So even if your dog is not trained, take them along with you and let them walk through the woods. And pretty soon, if they start coming upon sheds, they're pretty smart animals. They'll figure it out and they'll start finding them on their own. So you can do some training with them, but even if you don't want to do that, take your dog out with you. And it's great exercise for them, and it's a great time for you. If you do decide to train your dog as a shed antler dog, it's going to improve your ability to find sheds 100 times over. Tip number four is use a mapping app. Use something like OnX, Hunt Stand. There's a variety of them out there, but use it to locate areas on the map where you find sheds. This will help you in the upcoming fall season when you can go back and you know that at late winter where those bucks were at. Now typically bucks will stay in the same range and they won't travel too far, except during the rut. You know, bucks will travel miles to find a hot doe. But under typical circumstances, those bucks are going to stay in that range. So if you start finding sheds in a particular area, that buck is probably going to be there come fall. So focus on those areas, mark them on your map, so that when you come back out in the fall and you start doing some more preseason scouting, you have a good place to start. Last tip, get a good pair of optics. Bring some good binoculars with you, and you can cover a lot more ground. Remember that I talked about in beginning shed hunting that you want to focus on bedding, food sources, and travel corridors. Well, as you're walking along, you can cover the edges of fields and the middle of fields with a good pair of optics or binoculars much easier than you can with the naked eye. Another thing is if you can get up high, for example, if you can get into a tree or you can get on a high piece of ground where you can look down onto a field, it becomes much easier to pick those sheds out. So a great pair of optics is almost a necessity to improve your chances on finding antler sheds. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope that it improves your chances on finding antler sheds this season. Remember, it's a great activity, it's a great exercise, and it's a great way to get an early jump on your scouting. And don't forget, turkey season's coming up pretty soon, so it's also a great time to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, and start looking for those gobblers out there that you're going to be chasing around in March and April. So good luck out there, God bless, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next